The Dolphins have hired a new head coach, Mike McDaniel, who used to be last year the 49ers offensive coordinator. And there's not a lot to be said here necessarily. I think it's a good move. Really what they need in Miami is a coach who can, frankly, help to try to save Tua Tagovailoa, their young quarterback. Who Tua, if you look at it from like wins and losses, and I think Tua has done pretty well. He's actually gotten better as time has gone on. Tua could be a train wreck, and he's certainly not a train wreck that's hopeless, but he's going to have to get good coaching. He's going to have to take a step forward, and I'm actually excited because Mike McDaniel is a guy who could do that. Mike McDaniel, you never know. I mean, I think I at one point thought Adam Gase was going to be a good head coach, right? Adam Gase was a guy who worked with Peyton Manning for years, offensive coordinator in Denver, came to Miami and was horrible. So just because you're hiring an offensive coach does not necessarily mean they're going to be good or a home run or work with Tua. However, it feels good, and I think that it's better than them hiring someone like, I don't know, Mike Zimmer, who's a defensive coach. Like I'm glad. Matt Eberflus, the quarterback or the head coach of the Chicago Bears. When the Bears hired him, I was kind of like, it's a bit weird. You got a young, talented quarterback, Justin Fields, who's going to need a coach who can work with Justin Fields to develop him. And instead of hiring an offensive coach, you hired someone who is on the defensive side who isn't going to work as directly with Justin Fields to develop him. So the one thing you can praise about Miami here is they did really, really lean into, we got to work with our quarterback. We have to fix our offense. And they hired a coach, Mike McDaniel, who reflects that need. And I really, really like that. Also, by the way, one thing that is, I don't know, this isn't necessarily going to make him a better coach. In fact, it really has no factor at all. But one thing I love about Mike McDaniel is that he is hilarious to listen to in interviews. He's got a good personality. He's fun to listen to. He has a lot of fun at the podium. And I don't know, again, whether or not he's going to be a great head coach. It's way, way, way too early to know that. I like that he's an offensive coach, but the one thing I love, and I know it's going to be fun at minimum, is that he's going to give really fun, interesting answers at press conferences, and I hope just lean into his personality. And I'm like, look, train wreck or not, whatever happens here, it's going to be entertaining, and that really, really excites me for Mike McDaniel, no S, Mike McDaniel being the new head coach of the Miami Dolphins. Now, we have a question about this. Noah writes in on Patreon, as you can do, patreon.com/Zach Schaumler. Noah says, "Hi, Zach. I've been watching for over a year now, but this is my very first time writing in. Thank you, Noah. Welcome. This is a two-parter at the end. I'm a Dolphins fan, and we just hired 49ers offensive coordinator Mike McDaniel. I'm not sure how I feel about this one, but one thing I'm interested in is how this will impact Jalen Waddle. We saw what McDaniel did with Deebo Samuel this year, making him a focal point of the offense in the second half of the year in San Francisco. Do you think he could do something similar with Jalen Waddle? Not necessarily utilized in the same fashion. They're not the same type of athlete. But having the offense go through him as opposed to a quarterback or a running back and having special plays and or formations. Here are my questions. Number one, is that something McDaniel could try and do? And two, could that work? So I don't think you're going to see Jalen Waddle used exactly like Deebo Samuel, right? They're not the same athlete. That would be a fool's errand. But what's really encouraging about Mike McDaniel coming to Miami is that what we saw with him in San Francisco is he found a way to best utilize the personnel they had. He got the best out of everybody there. He used Deebo Samuel like a running back because Deebo Samuel basically is a running back who can catch, and he's this crazy hybrid of a receiver and a running back. Jalen Waddle is really good with the ball in his hands, and I don't think they're going to use him running between the tackles up the middle. Like, certainly not at all. But they're going to use him, outside, stretching, I think maybe more similar to the way Tyreek Hill is used in Kansas City. A lot of fly sweeps, a lot of stuff out wide. Get him in space with the football. And yeah, I think they're going to lean heavily on him. And even if they don't, what I'm trying to say here is that it's just encouraging. They're going to use Jalen Waddle a lot, get the most out of him. But also, Mike McDaniel's a smart dude who, if he can get the most out of Deebo Samuel, it gives me confidence he can get the most out of everybody else in Miami as well. And man, I'm just really, really excited to see what happens. And I think he's going to get the most out of Tua, the most out of Jalen Waddle. And I'm excited to see how they draft and what they do. But I just think that what Miami has not had for quite a while is a really good, exciting offense. And I'm so very much hoping that Mike McDaniel can bring that to Miami.